stopping crime here in the city of Mount Vernon. Now, we're handing out some fact sheets about the work that we've done today, and I want to thank the hard work from police, fire, public works, and water department for the hard work we've done in cleaning up our city today. And what I promised here is exactly what I delivered. We're taking aggressive actions to take on slumlords and those outliers that are causing a lot of crime and grime here in the city of Mount Vernon. What I can tell you is that as developers flock to our city, criminals and slumlords will be flocking out. This is part of the process of making sure the Renaissance remains real and continues to happen and puts us on a path to increase property values. But more importantly, it's steps that we're taking to make sure the community is safe, clean, and action is happening on these neglected problems that we've been experiencing for years. Now, one of the things I can tell you is that we are empowered by the law to hold bad slumlords accountable for their actions. With us, we have one of the people that were displaced as a result of the actions. His name is Jelani Rogers. He's going to come up in a minute. But I just want to point out that when our staff went up, the police and fire went out to hold and do these inspections, they found things that you would never imagine. People sleeping next to boilers, people, roofs leaking. They found dogs and all sorts of things that shouldn't be all in one room. One of the things I can make sure that there's a new policy in Mount Vernon. If you can't make a burnt out home safe, the city will be working with demolition contractors to tear down that blighted property within days of it burning down so it doesn't continue to pose a health hazard. This is a cross-functional team comprising of DPW, police, fire, and the law department to make sure that we're taking every action on life safety issues to make sure Mount Vernon is safer and cleaner going into the future. And the bottom line is, I want to make sure you know that this team is going to remain responsive and aggressive and vigilant on all the actions that are needed to clean up Mount Vernon. So without further notice, I'm going to call up Acting Police Commissioner Ron Fatigate to speak about his experience in going out today addressing these major quality of life issues. Ron?
Thank you, Mayor Thomas. As Mayor Thomas had said, it's a new day in Mount Vernon. You do what you need to do, removing the crime and grime, as we named this task force. It makes everything better, and bringing in new businesses into Mount Vernon, it helps. My experience on our first shutdown of a home, that was a single room occupancy home, is people actually in that home thanked us for putting them out. And that made me feel like, wow, people really care, even when they're living within this crime and grime. And also the neighbors. Neighbors are dancing in the street and saying, it's about time you got here. It's a good movement that we're going forward with. Quality of life is what we're looking forward to. And this is a great start, and there's just more to come. Thank you.
And one of the things I'll say is, we shut down a business today as well. We shut down an illegal rooming house. We shut down 3 businesses that were just completely causing a lot of issues for our public safety apparatus. And we also took action here and violated the zombie home behind us. And quite frankly, the homeowner came out. The person responsible responded to our warning, and they cleaned this up before we can get here and assess the cost on them. So this is the type of relationship that we expect to have with our property owners, those that are here and those that are vacant. So one of the things I can tell you is that on 4th Avenue in particular, you've heard me say this before, 4th Avenue was like the Times Square of Westchester. And we're taking action to bring that back. We're bringing back Mount Vernon, one cleanup at a time, and we're going to make sure that everybody understands that if you contribute to crime and grime, you're going to pay a price. So without further, I'm going to bring up Acting Commissioner Ernie Richardson to talk about his experience in shutting down some of these businesses and homes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I stand here today as a fire commissioner, elated today to know that we have taken away an SRO that potentially could have killed about 10 to 20 people. As firefighters, when we run into places like this, our lives are at risk, as well as the people that are inside. So again, Mr. Mayor, you know, being a part of the task force, I appreciate it. This fire department, we do what we can to keep the people safe and to keep the SROs to a minimum. Thank you.
Now, talking about some of the actions we're going to take on landlords, including throwing them in jail, I'm going to bring up Larry Picari, our corporation counsel, to talk about the actions he's going to take suing some of these landlords. Larry?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to thank the police commissioner, DPW, of course, the fire commissioner for all their help today. Regarding what happened today, I'm here to say that the City of Mount Vernon Law Department stands ready to prosecute every landlord and every individual to the fullest extent of the law. And that includes our local code, that means our fire code and our building code. You will be fined. If necessary, you will be jailed. And if necessary, we will pass the costs over to and we will assess those costs against your property, put them on your taxes. We will no longer tolerate burned out buildings. We will not tolerate piles of garbage. We will not tolerate illegal liquor sales of drug paraphernalia, illegal rooming houses, all those things. We intend to shut them down. Thank you.
And I do want to take a moment to introduce and talk about the role planning has played in this, because this is also in part before I bring up Public Works. You know, there is a compassionate component to this. We're not just going to throw everybody out in the street. We're going to make sure that our partners across government are involved and aware. We met with the county today, and we've been speaking with them about their role in making sure that the Department of Social Services is involved, but heading up that effort and the piece to make sure that people that are displaced have a place and even access to more resources to getting work and getting back on their feet even stronger is Commissioner Sean Patterson Howard, who has been speaking to a lot of this stuff. I don't know if you want to provide any remarks right now. Yeah, I'd love for you to just provide some feedback as to what we've done to make sure the social safety net is catching people as they enter.
Yes, as the City of Mount Vernon ensures that we're holding landlords and property owners accountable for being derelict landlords and property owners, we understand that unfortunately there are residents who become victim to their landlord's actions, and we don't want to treat them badly. So we brought our homeless outreach team from the Department of Planning and the Urban Renewal Agency, as well as our Emergency Management Services Director, to the site. We coordinated with the Department of Social Services and the Red Cross, and we have over 27 people who are being housed under an emergency basis and are being given alternative housing. We had pregnant women, we had veterans, and the average age of the young people living in the residence were in their 20s. So they're the age of many of our children, and including and we wanted to make sure that they were not just displaced without any options. And so the City of Mount Vernon has been vigilant and aggressive in engaging our partners to ensure that they've been relocated safely, and we will be working with them going forward to see what other types of services, including housing, job training, medical supports, and other safety net issues need to be put in place to ensure their successful future going ahead.
And talking about the ongoing work to keep Mount Vernon clean, we have Commissioner of Public Works, Ralph Uzi, who's here, is going to talk about a lot of the stuff that he's done to make sure that even these rats across the street, not people, I know it's politics, it's rough, but the rats are actually addressed, and but not just these rats, but the crime and the grime and how the two interplay. So Commissioner Uzi, you can come and talk about some of the hard work you're doing.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, and thank you for your leadership, and thank you for our partners behind me. None of us is an island. We have to work together. What we've done so far, just today, we engaged an exterminator who's going to develop a program to focus on what the problem is right here. This will then be the model we can branch out and bring to the rest of the city. This is a problem that has existed. The rats have existed, they will continue to exist. But we don't have to tolerate it. It's not a condition that we have to live with. All I can say to the public is, instead of saying, if you see something, say something, we say, if you see something, do something. Give us a call, we're here to help.
And just by the way, to remind folks, this is the architect behind when we had the blizzard, he was the one behind making sure we had blacktop on all our streets. So thank you again for that. Now, without further ado, I do want to call up Jelani Rogers, who was displaced today, but we're working with to make sure that he's not only on his feet, but he's going to tell the story about the landlord and the person and the conditions in which he was living, and why it's so important that folks out there do something and speak up and connect with us, because we're going to make sure that you're protected and you have a safe living situation, not just for you, but for the people that are facing these hard times. But the city of Mount Vernon is going to work with you to get back on your feet. Jelani?
I lived on 141 South 13th Avenue. They just cleaned up today. I was at work when they called me. I go to work every day. Just like I pay this man every month for his bill, for my bills and stuff. From the second floor up, it's total squalor, people squatting, people coming in and out. The rats and roaches have seemed like they got more rights than the people actually paying rent there do. The guy's name is Tommy Marciano. I was referred to him by a realtor named Orlando. At first I was in a smaller room and I got to a bigger room on the third floor where it's pretty clean at. But I've had to fix doors, I've had to put CO2 detectors in there, I've had to put fire detectors in there, I've had to fix my own windows. In the summer there's no air really coming through the windows, so you gotta force them open or jimmy them open or almost break them in order to get any air. In the wintertime, there's really no hot water or heat. Sometimes we resorted to leaving on the stove for heat. These landlords, these slumlords, gotta realize we're people too. We go to work every day 9 to 5, and you take our money, but you don't give us the services that we needed. We are people. You have to treat us as such. This is not a third world country. This is America. Everybody deserves to get what they pay for.
And one of the things I want to tell you, everybody, this property in particular was probably grossing over $10,000 a month, over 10 grand a month, and it's just ridiculous that folks like Jelani had to live like this. And we're going to continue to fight slumlords. We're going to call them out. We're going to plaster their names and put their properties on blast until this issue is eradicated. So I do want to make one more announcement before I make the team behind me available for questions. I'm pretty sure you guys may have some questions. But I do want to announce that the first 2 weekends in June is a community-wide cleanup. And we're looking for volunteers. And we're going to be working with neighborhood associations and neighborhoods like this one to make sure that the resources are out here to put stuff in the dumpsters and haul away the trash. We're working with the county to bring down the mobile shredder, and we're working with the county as well to bring out the other equipment to take away paint and other hazardous materials, recyclables. So with that, I'll stop and take any questions. And also I just want to announce to my left, I want to announce Lieutenant Fisher, who is a part of the task force helping lead this up. Firefighter Chief Duffy helped lead this up. Captain St. John to my right, who was out here as well leading the effort on the Quality of Life Task Force. And to my far left, your far right, I'm going to be swearing in 4 new lieutenants into the fire department after questions are taken. So, any questions?
Can you give me an update on what's going on with the house?
Sure. This property to my right, over my right shoulder, is an abandoned zombie structure, and there was mountains of trash surrounding the house. And the law department sent them a demand letter to clean it up within 24 hours, or we're going to clean it up and put the bill on your taxes. Well, within 24 hours, here we are, it's clean. We had every intention, the DPW crews behind you, what's up guys? They were set to come and clean this up. We had heavy machinery ready to go in and take it out, but they did their job. So that's one cost that we were able to save, but again, we were able to save the quality of life issue here in the neighborhood. Question? Hearing none? Oh, sorry.
Mr. Mayor, sorry to interrupt. Is there any sort of a timeline by which you're hoping that your task force can get the problems solved?
So what we're looking at for today's cleanup, for today's effort, we're going to be working with our partners in government to make sure that the violations are enforced and the bad actors are held accountable. With respect to when we do this again, we're not going to announce that people just need to be on the ready for an inspection. Because when we come, we're coming to shut you down.
Are you getting any opposition from these people that are being asked to vacate their premises?
The question was, are we getting opposition from people asked to vacate? From the tenants, no. The tenants are looking at this as a sigh of relief, and we're going to be working with the tenants to get some of their money back. We're not guaranteeing that, but we're going to try. Because there's no reason why someone should pay $900, like Jelani, and then be told, we're not going to fix your window, we're not giving you a smoke detector, we're going to leave the front door off the building in the middle of the winter. Like, that's ridiculous. So all I can tell you is that we're going to be working with, you know, everybody to make sure they get made whole. And it's a process. I'm not going to say it's perfect, but we're going to make sure that this type of activity is not welcome in Mount Vernon. For all I know, it doesn't happen in other communities that are more affluent than Mount Vernon, so it's not going to happen in Mount Vernon, period. But with respect to the experience, I think, you know, there are people here that can talk about their experience as to, you know, how they were greeted. But I was laughing because, you know, when he went to a business, now the business is different. The business, they have a different set of, you know, priorities, and their priority is to make money. And one of the businesses we visited today was a recycling company for grease and oil. And I think when you nicknamed him grease stuff. I'm sorry, Chief, I had to do it. But Chief Duffy went and visited one of the recycling businesses, and if you don't mind talking about your experience of how they reacted, and if you don't mind sharing some of the things that you found, that's quite alarming and serious when it comes to, you know, flammable liquid in the situation and how we establish an even stronger connection with the state. Chief?
Upon going to the inspection site, we found out that DEC was already involved in inspections and the property was under consent. They were supposed to be in the process of cleaning up. Upon our arrival, they were actually power washing their debris down the storm drains, which they had already been cited on. Upon entry, we found their circuit breakers, electrical box, open motors, anything possible in that structure that could ignite a fire or cause a serious hazard was there and available to us. So they were cited. We made contact with DEC. We're going to be talking with the regional rep as far as how to follow up to shut this business down for safety issues and for the other neighbors in the neighborhood that are paying good rent there, that run clean businesses and doing what they're supposed to do.
But this is where pride gets restored in Mount Vernon, and this is part of what we're going to do to make sure people know that when they see DPW, they respect them. When they see fire and police, they respect them, and know that the respect is mutual. It's not, you know, he say, she say. It's not this one versus that one. It's one Mount Vernon, one voice, one family. Any other questions? All right, hearing none, I'll end this press conference, and then I'll bring you guys up so we can swear you in. We want to do it up by the fire truck. That way you don't have the zombie house behind you. That sounds good? All right, let's do that. All right, guys. Thank you so much.